far as I know, it's the first mother in the Bible. As far as I know. And I know it is in end time. It's said in the Bible in end time. We have folks who study it out of time. And that's the reason I said that. As far as I know, the first mother is what we're going to use for our title today. The first mother in the Bible. In the end time studying the Bible. That way we'll be in the clear. And in our text today, in Genesis chapter number 3 and verse number 20, the Bible said that Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. Now, I want you to think about it for a little while. Lots of time when people read in the beginning, start reading in Genesis, they get chapter 1 and chapter 2, they kind of get it a little bit confused up. And I've had folks to tell me there was more people in the garden besides Adam and Eve. And because they weren't rightly dividing the Bible, and I tried to tell them that chapter 2 is explaining what happened in chapter 1. And of course I never did convince some of them that. But I tell them in a roundabout way, trying not to hurt their feelings, that chapter 2 explains what happened. And you can see it if you want to see it. The Bible says that God created man in his own image, in the image of God. He created him, male and female. This is in chapter 1. Create he them. And he told them to multiply and replenish the earth. That's in chapter 1. That was before chapter 2, he said, in chapter 2 and verse number 7, he said, the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed in his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Then the Bible said God planted a garden east of Eden, and he put the man in that garden. But God said it's not good for man to be alone, and so I'll make him a helpmate. The Bible said a great sleep. God put a great sleep upon Adam. This is in chapter 2. A great sleep upon Adam. And if you want to look at it, it's in verse number 21 of chapter 2. And a great sleep upon him, and he removed one of his ribs. And the Bible said that he made Eve from one of the ribs. And the Bible said he brought her unto Adam. He put him to sleep, and he brought her unto Adam, and presented her unto him. And Adam said, this is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. Now, I want to preach about this mother, not much about it. I want to try to preach a little while about the first mother. Hadn't it been for this mother, me and you would have been here. Most of the time we hear about it, it's always bad because she got us in trouble. But she caused us to be born into this world. Our mothers never could have had us hadn't it been for this mother. She was the first mother, and how many children she had, I don't know. The Bible names 3, and then it said they had sons and daughters. After they got older, they had sons and daughters. Didn't say how many they had, but this mother was the first mother of, and the Bible said, of all living. People argue on the Bible, and that's a sin to do that. Had a person agree with me this week that it's not right to argue on the Bible. We can discuss it, but somebody told me that most of the time when people discuss it, they get an argument on it. And they can't discuss it with an open heart and a loving heart and a Christian heart. They've got to get themselves involved in it. But anyhow, the Bible said that she was the mother of all living. And you think about it for a little while. Hadn't it been for her, me and you would have been here. We could adjust. Well, they would have been us. When God decided that He wanted a creation, and the Bible said it was nothing. I know we have a lot of different theories about how man got here and all that kind of stuff, but the Bible tells us plainly, And I believe that word when he said, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. I read this week of a great man of God. He said, if you don't believe them verses, that very first verse in Genesis, you won't believe none of the rest of it. And that's probably true. People, my friend, that's where they get, a lot of them, my friend, that's where they get their belief from. In the beginning, he said, God. He just stopped there short of saying God created the heaven and the earth. My friend, but the Bible said, my friend, that God had created man. I'm going to believe that today. I've just not got any more sense and just believe that God created man in his likeness and his image. And the Bible said he breathed in his nostrils and he became a living soul. It was just a pile of dirt there. That's all I mean you are. I read in J. Vernon McGee's book, he said he used to tell folks that we was worth $2.98. But he said inflation's took over now and we ain't worth that much. The chemicals in your body, if you had it fixed out, you wouldn't be worth $3 today. A lot of people think they're worth a lot. But when it comes right down to it, the Bible said that we're going back to where we come from. And we come from the dust of the earth. The Bible said, from dust thou art, to dust thou shalt return. But the Bible said, my friend, that God had made man, and God said it's not good that he be alone, but he'd make him somebody to help him. And the Bible said he made him a woman. Somebody said she was a beautiful woman. I won't doubt that a bit. Somebody said, you've heard folks say, boy, that sure is a doll of a woman. And I believe if there's ever been a doll of a woman, it had to be the one God made. I don't believe God would have made an ugly woman and brought her to Adam. Do you? I believe he brought him a beautiful woman. And I believe he brought one that was a thrill for him to be working with him while he was in there in that garden. And this woman, I want you to think about that most of the time, and I've heard of women, when they get married, they tell their husband, I want you to build me a new home, and sometimes they have a good home. I know one that had a good home, and it looked like a good home to me, but she didn't want that. She wanted her a new home built. I reckon he built her one. My friend, but I want you to think about, my friend, this woman did have a beautiful home. She lived in a garden. That was her home. Of course, the climate was good, and the flowers was beautiful, and everything was just right. God had made that garden for man to live in. And the Bible said he put Adam there to dress it and to take care of it. But now that he had somebody to help him, somebody to be with him, and he said he called her name Eve, and she was going to be the mother of all living. You think about it. You know, a lot of people come up to the word that Cain, they want to know where Cain got his wife at. Oh, the Bible didn't tell it out in detail. They want to know why. How they worry about all that kind of stuff. Did you know what people ought to worry about most of anything today? Is where their heart was right with God. That's what the main thing is, to be right in the eyes of God. When we go and our fingernails begin to turn blue and our eyes begin to sit in our head and our breath begin to get short, we won't worry about where old Cain got his wife at then. We'll worry about meeting the Maker. And that's what we ought to worry about today, is our life, what it ought to be for the Maker today. Is our life pleasing to Him? If they sing that song, is my Lord satisfied with me? I love that old song. It has some good things in it. Is my Lord satisfied with me? Well, I mean, that ought to be the question for every Christian today. Is God satisfied with us? My friend, today, God didn't save us. My friend, to turn us loose, let us do anything we want to. He saved us for a purpose. He saved us to work for Him. And somebody said, well, it ain't none of nobody's business. You've heard this old saying. It ain't none of nobody's business why I do but mine. But the Bible tells us that we are not our own if we're saved. That God, we've been bought with a price. And God bought us with a price. And it wasn't cheap. He didn't go to trade day or flea market to get us. for us. He paid top price for us. The Son of God gave His life and shed His blood and paid the sin debt that me and you might be saved today. You think about it. But here we found that God, my friend, made Adam a wife. And the Bible said, my friend, that and you can get by reading this story that God, my friend, instituted. Now think about, my friend, the way that the world's going today. What is man trying to do today? They're trying to rule God out of everything. He instituted the marriage. God set it up right. He had a man and He made a woman. Somebody said, preacher, you're crazy. He didn't make another man and say, this is your wife. But He made a woman and brought her to her. I'm telling you, this is an old King James Bible I'm preaching out of. And if you got one, you can read the same thing I did. And the Bible said she is a mother. You ever said a he mother? I reckon it was always a she or her. That was a mother, wasn't it? Oh, today, we need, as Brother Frank said, we need to come back to where God wants us today. This country has drifted a long ways away from God, and it needs to come back to the way of God. One of these days when the fire starts falling, I'm going to tell you, their tune will be changed then. Their mind will be changed then. They'll be trying to get on the right track, but it'll be too late for some of them. Now's the day. The Bible said the day is the day of salvation. The Bible said this mother was a mother. And the Bible said that she got, a lot of times people, if they own their home and they can't make their payments, they get evicted. I believe that's the word fire. They get evicted from their home. And that's what happened to Eve. She got evicted from the garden there. That's the place for her to live. God, the Bible said, drove them out. Because of sin, God drove them out of that beautiful place that He made for them. Because they disobeyed God and done wrong, they had to go out and live in the world. I don't know where Eve and Adam lived at after they left the garden. They might have lived in caves. I read about where Lot went and lived in a cave, and they might have lived in a cave too. I don't know. My friends, some of them lived under rocks and all kind of things. A place that the Bible tells us about. They lived in the rocks. Back down there before they had houses and things. But I'm telling you here today, they got drove out from their home. I thought about a precious man, worked all of his life and worked hard. Good man, enjoyed himself. And he went away from home, went up to the mountains. His daughter carried to the mountains to kind of let him relax and get things off his mind. And when he come home, there was a sign on his door. You've been evicted of your home. You think about, he's done going to be with God now. But you think about what that would do to you. If you left for a vacation and you come back and the sign, the law had come out there and put a sign, and they have to do it. No matter how good the law is, they've got to carry out their orders. They had to tack a sign on his door and said, you've been evicted. In other words, he had to move out. It was no longer his home anymore. He had made payments on it and worked there and worked all of his life, raised his family there. But he didn't have a home to live in. Been evicted. That's what happened to Eve. She got evicted because the Bible said that they disobeyed God and took a forbidden fruit. And God drove man out of the garden. Of course, when God drove the man out, the woman had to go with him because she was his helpmate. She was the other half. If they say she was the better half, I guess. Somebody talk about the better half, and the man has a wife and has a mother of his children. He's only a half person without her. Did you know till a man has a Christian marriage and has a family, he's only a half person? You know that? All you got to do is just study the Word of God. It teaches that he is only the half of a person. And when God brought Eve to him, He brought the other half of Adam there. And she become the mother of all living. You think about today. Hadn't it been for this woman, you get nothing else out of it. Hadn't it been for this woman, me and you would have been here today. God provided the first mother. She didn't get here by choice. It wasn't her choice to be here. God made her and brought her to Adam. And He said she'd be called woman.
You think of that. And then the Bible said he called his wife's name Eve because she was a mother of all living. Now God was instituted the home today. He started the marriage and the home. I know a lot of people have a lot of disagreements about things. And they'll disagree. Some of them will disagree on nearly everything you mention. But God set it up right. And you know what he said? He said a person would leave father and mother and cleave unto their wife. Boy, you know, sometimes, and I know people mean well by it, but when some of their kids get ready to get married, they said, now if they don't treat you right, you know where your home's at. They'll not do that. They'll not tell them that. But the Bible said that they're supposed to forsake father and mother in a roundabout way and cleave to that partner that they got. That's what the Bible teaches. You want to find this? You can find it in the 24th verse of the 2nd chapter. Man will leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. You think about that. They'll be one flesh. And today, think about it. But you see how things happen. I remember a preacher one time. Man was married his daughter. He was a good man. Helped me in revival services. Humble man, loved God. He told that son-in-law, he said, I'm going to tell you, you're going to move her way out west somewhere. He said, if you don't be good to my girl, it ain't no bit too far for me to walk all the way out there just get to whoop you. Now, he meant every word he said to her. He meant that. He's a good man, but he meant it. He'd have started walking where he made it all the way out there. Not. He'd have started because he meant what he said. He said, I'll come out there and get you if you're not good to her. He's just giving a little warning on the side, you know. And sometimes I remember a young lady got married here in this county, and her husband carried her out west somewhere. He tied her up out there, was going to leave her. She got loose and called her daddy. Used to work with me. I know all about it. You think about it. Tied her up. He's going to leave her out there tied up. And he's going to come back here somewhere. So I'm telling you, folks, you don't know. You don't know what it is. If you had a good mama, she'd gone. You that's got mothers today, you be good to them today. Love them. And do everything you can to show them that you appreciate them. Because when they're gone, it's too late. Gone too late. I still miss my mother. 26 years she's been gone. I was 50 years old when my mother passed away. But I still miss her. Probably always will. And I'd like to talk to them. I'd like to talk to my parents, but I can't. The Bible teaches us it's wrong. Somebody said they knew somebody was talking to the dead. I said they're going against the Bible then. The Bible teaches us not to try to communicate with the dead. So I never have. I never have tried to communicate with my mom and daddy since they passed. Because I knew what the Bible said. You think about it today. He said not to try to. You may think you're getting a voice back, but it might not be your loved one. It may be a demon talking back to you. You can get involved in some of that witchcraft stuff, and the old devil just waiting to get his foot in the door anyhow. And you get to thinking you're talking to some of your loved ones, you might be talking to a demon or something. It might sound like them. Might not be them. Might be that. You think about it today. While Brother Frank comes and gets a verse of song, this is better scattered.